Welcome back. So far, we've learned about how to use if and else statements to handle two possible outcomes. But what if there are more than two possible outcomes? For example, you are grading a test and scores could result in an A, B, C, D, E, or even an F. So in this lesson, we learn how to handle multiple conditions using the elif statement. You can imagine ordering coffee at a cafe. If you want black coffee, you say black. If you want milk, you say with milk. If you want sugar, you specify that. And if none of these options work, you ask for something else. This sequence of choices is like if, elif, and else in programming. Elif stands for else if. It allows you to check additional conditions if the first condition is not true. You can use multiple elif blocks to handle various scenarios. As you can see, this is the syntax of multiple conditional statements using if, elif, and else. You start with if. So if condition 1 is true, the block of code that is indented inside of the if condition will be executed. Else, if condition 2 is true, run this block of code. If this is not true, move to the next one. Else, if condition 3 is true, run this block of code. So you continue like that on and on until the last condition. So if you've exhausted all your conditions, then you say else, run this block of code if all the conditions preceding this block are not true. All right, so let's have an example. Let's say we want to create a score grading system. We can use multiple conditional statements to handle different score values. Let's comment all this out. So all this code has been commented out. There is a shortcut to comment out a code in PyCharm. So you use Ctrl/. If you are using Mac, you use Command/. So that's going to comment out the line. For example, if I want to uncomment this, I'll just repress Ctrl/. So that is going to uncomment the line. If I want to comment it back, then Ctrl/. Okay. If you want to comment out multiple lines, just highlight all the lines and then you press your Ctrl or Command plus /. All right, so that's that. Okay, so let's say we want to implement a score grading system. So let's get the score of our user. So let's say score is equal to integer. So we are converting the input that will be provided by our user to an integer. So we are going to say enter your score. Okay. Okay, so after that, we are going to have multiple conditional statements. So we are going to say if score is greater than or equal to 90, we have colon, then we are going to print. So we are going to say excellent. So we are going to say grade is A. We have grade A. If you like, you can put colon in front of grade. That's not the point of the exercise. We are exercising with multiple conditional statements. So if score is less than 90, then you are going to have another condition. So you are going to say elif. This is where you use else if. So you say elif. So if score is now greater than or equal to, let's say 80. So we have 80. So we are going to print. What are we going to print to our user? You can say good job. Good. I say good job. So you're having grade of B. You say grade B. All right. So now if the score is less than 80, then you have another condition. You say else if. So you say score. Okay. Score if score is greater than or equal to, let's say 70. Okay. Now we're going to print satisfactory. Satisfactory. Okay, so we're going to say your grade is C. Okay, now if the score is less than 70, we have another elif. So we're going to say score if score is let's say greater than or equal to, let's say 60. Okay, now we're going to advise our students to add more effort. So you're going to say needs improvement. I'm going to say grade is D, right? Now, if all of these conditions are not true, then we are going to use the else statement. So if all the conditions above are not true, you are going to print to our student, you are going to say need to study more. Okay, so I'm going to say grade is F. If we run this now, so it's going to ask for a score. So let's provide a score that is above 90, let's say 95. If you run that, so you have excellent grade A. Because this condition is true, then this block of code will be executed. As soon as one of the conditions is true, the remaining conditions in that conditional statement will be skipped. Okay, so let's run this and say, let's say our score is, let's say 65. Okay, so what do we have? Needs improvement, grade D. This is because this condition is not true. This condition is not true. This condition is not true because we have 65. 65 is not greater than or equal to 70. So this condition is not true. At this point, we have 65 to be greater than 60. So this condition is true. Therefore, we execute this block of code and then the next condition is skipped. Okay, if we run this again now, so let's say we have 40. Okay, so you are going to have need to study more. The grade is F. All right. So all these conditions are not true. If all of these conditions are not true, then we are not going to use this else statement as our fallback. If all these conditions are not true, then execute this block of code in the else block. You should note that only one block of code can run in a multiple conditional statement blocks. The blocks are evaluated sequentially. As soon as one of the conditions is true, that block will run and the rest of the multiple conditional statements are skipped. One important thing to note is that Python evaluates conditions in order that you arrange them from the top to the bottom. So you make sure that the most specific conditions come first before others. For example, let's say we have this condition. Let's say we have it before 90. Okay, so this is going to be if, and then we are going to have elif here. So now we are having score greater than or equal to 80 before score greater than or equal to 90. If we run this now, okay, yes, run. So enter your score. Let's say I entered 95. What do we have? So you have good job, grade is B. Whereas we want for every score that is greater than or equal to 90, we want to have excellent and grade A. So this is because Python executes your code from top to bottom and it checks the first condition. If this condition is true, it executes this, whereas 95 is greater than 80. So this condition is true, then it's going to execute this block of code and skip the rest. So you should always take note of the order of your conditions. Let the most specific conditions come first and you go in that order down the line. So let's return this back to the normal order. So we have 90 before 80. Another thing you should also take note is you should always try as much as possible to provide an else statement in your multiple conditional statement. This is because sometimes your user is going to provide an input that you are not handling in any of your conditions. So if any of the condition is not true, the else block will always run. So it is going to serve as fallback for any unexpected input. All right. So that will be all for this lesson. I will see you in the next one.